They're here! So this is my sister, Melissa. Oh wow, blacked out windows and everything. Joe, here she is! How you doing? Good. You look amazing. Yay! Too long. How you doing? What's up guys, my name's Samuel Leeds, I'm a property investor and I like to help other people become property investors. Every single week I bring someone onto my YouTube channel that I've helped become a property investor or a property entrepreneur, and this week I'm ridiculously excited. This is one of the specialist guests we've ever had on Winners Wednesday. That is Melissa Machekanyanga, who is my sister. So welcome to the show.
Hi.
So you got started in property recently-ish?
Yeah, so I would say officially about a year ago, I started being really serious about it. I attended the crash course in February of 2019 and I loved it. And then I kind of came away from it, didn't really do much. And then went again, I think it must have been in like the June. And then that's when I officially started actually like smashing it and, you know, trying to do deals and stuff. But I didn't actually find a deal until later on.
Okay. Now we have to address the elephant because people might be thinking Samuel said his sister and we don't look that similar. So you're Amanda's sister, but in African culture we don't say in-laws.
Yeah, we're siblings.
Yeah.
Okay? You're part of the family.
And I got quite a lot of hate on Facebook because it was stated that you paid full price for some advanced training. And people were like, I can't believe you charged your little sister, because you're how old, 22?
Yeah,
right?
22.
I can't believe you charged your little sister full price for training. How horrible. What do you have to say about that?
Honestly, what's the big deal? Like, the thing is, I feel like people think that just because we're family, I might get a free pass or whatever, but in life, you don't get free passes. And I feel like you never said to me, you need to pay it. You just said, do you want to go on the training? And of course, like I thought, well, yeah, it's worth the money that it's worth. And I don't want to rip you off. You know, you're spending time and stuff, putting this all together, and so your team and everything. Like, I never even thought about going for free or asking to go for free, because it's not really me. So I thought, well, yeah, I'm going to pay it. And I did. And I loved it.
And did you make your investment back?
Yeah, I made it back, and then I made it back again.
That's really cool. So,
yeah.
And I think as well with training, I know your family, but I believe when you don't pay attention.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like because I paid and I went, I was literally just like everyone else. Like, I paid attention like everyone else. I mingled with everyone else, and no one obviously knew really that we were related or anything. And I was just there like everyone else, and that's to learn, to meet people, to like network, and I loved it. I feel like if I went for free, I might have like switched off a bit, you know, and like been like, oh, you know, I can just come again next time if I miss this bit. But it wasn't like that. I was there and I was fully immersed in it, and it was amazing. I wish we could do it all again.
Yeah, well, you can. And you know what's funny though? I've had some people in my family, not our side of the family, but different family members that have like said to me, oh, Samuel, you know, I want to meet and talk to you about property, or I want to pick your brains. And I've been like, oh, to be fair, they are sort of family, you know, cousin or whatever. And we've met and I've spent time and I've gone over everything, and then they've done absolutely nothing.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I feel like when you pay the money, you feel like, oh, well, I've paid. It's not even about getting the money back. I feel, for me, it wasn't that. It was just, well, I might as well now put into use what I've learned. I just don't want it to be dead knowledge that sits in my brain and then I lose motivation, you know, to do it. Yeah. But I feel like at the DFE, you really get stuck into finding deals, putting them together, ringing agents and stuff. And you do get that buzz, and that buzz continues and it goes on with you when you go home and you're like, oh, I really want to find deals. And that's exactly what happened to me. Yeah. So I loved it.
So I've been married to Amanda 6 years, and I've been running crash courses for 4 years. And you came to the first crash course just last year. So like, what happened? How did you first hear about the training? What did you think when you first found out that I was a property tycoon and that I ran training? Like, how did the whole thing come about for you?
So you ran crash courses, and I knew about them because Dad went to a few of them as well. And I don't know, at that point, I just never really thought about property being something for me. Like we'd had chats about budgeting and stuff like that, and you were like, oh, do this jar system, it really works and stuff. And at the time I was just like, yeah. But in terms of property, I feel like I never really saw myself going into it. It was only until later on that I thought, actually, this sounds really good. And that's why I went to the crash course, because I thought, you know what? Even though I've got a full-time job and I'm a university student, I feel like I can still fit that in to my ever so busy schedule, which is very busy sometimes. So I just felt like I needed to submerge myself into it. And then when I found out that obviously Amanda was dating this guy, obviously we'd met at the wedding. So we met at the wedding that you and Amanda met at, at the same time. So I kind of knew you, but I didn't know about your property stuff, and neither did she. And then it kind of just happened, like you kind of told her something and then she told me, and I was like, what? I didn't really understand it. I was still quite young. I was just like, oh, cool. Brushed it off a bit. But yeah, I just never really thought about it. I feel like I was probably really focused on purely doing, like, I think at that time it would have been my A-levels and then getting a job and stuff like that. And you like coached me through that and stuff as well. So I remember you saying, actually, we had this conversation when I was applying for jobs, because it was my first ever job that I was applying for, and you were like, go for the no. Like, if you apply and they say no, that's fine, move on to the next one. Just keep on going and keep on going. And that kind of mentality really helped me at that time. And I feel like I've really grown from that since then.
And you've done really well on your career side as well. For 22, what are you studying at uni?
Quantity surveying.
Okay, and you're also a quantity surveyor?
Yeah.
And how's that going at work? Because I know you do really enjoy your job as well.
Yeah, I do. So I basically am doing a part-time degree, which is 5 years, and I'm working full-time alongside that. So the two combined, honestly, gold dust. I feel like I've learned so much on the job, and my day-to-day kind of role and stuff really opens up my eyes to the world of construction and kind of just everything really. And then uni as well, it helps to like give an academic aspect on everything, and it's just good. I feel like together combined, I've just really learned a lot. And then now bringing property is like a third element of that. It all honestly just feels like it was all meant to be.
Yeah, and you must be really busy though, because you're working full time in construction.
Yeah.
You're studying at university.
Yeah.
Now you're doing property, and you've done 4 deals now.
Yeah.
Which you've packaged and you've sold on, which we'll get to and we'll talk about. But I think it's great. I really admire your work ethic, and I know you love your uni work, you love your job. Talk to me about the 4 deals that you've done and how that happened.
So the DFE was, I think it was November. I then went on holiday skiing in December. I didn't do any deals between that time and going skiing. And then on my first day of skiing, I broke my leg, and I was obviously very, very upset. So I came back from the holiday, and I wasn't working because I was on really heavy medication and stuff. And there was a lot of things going through my mind. I just thought, oh my gosh, like if this had been much worse and I could potentially, like maybe not walk or something like that, like what would my bank balance say? Would that be able to sustain me? And like, do I have like a passive income? And I just thought, no, I don't. Like, God forbid if I was to ever lose my job or anything like that, I'd want to be in a position where I feel comfortable and I feel like I can be independent, because I'm quite an independent person. And I think just losing my leg and being really down in the dumps, like I literally used to cry like all the time because of the pain and everything, it really gave me a kick. And I was just like, you know what? I need to just start being really productive with my dead time, because it needs to happen. So that's kind of what gave me the drive to find my deals. And in the month of January, I found basically 4 deals, which made me quite a bit of money. Yeah. And then I think I realised at the point where I was getting better and I was obviously working again, my actual job full time, I thought, well, I need to be able to balance them all, because I feel like I can't do one thing really strongly and then neglect other things. So I just had to really find the balance between them all and time manage everything really well. And I feel like I've found that balance now. But yeah, honestly, like it is hard at times, but I just have realised that property can be almost like my productive pastime, which just earns me a lot of money instead of just scrolling through Instagram, which I still do, obviously.
Yeah, that's so cool. So, I mean, I remember when you had your accident and it was just like, oh my goodness, because you just finished the deal finding extravaganza, you'd got all of the knowledge and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go skiing and then I'm gonna come back and then I'm gonna start doing deals. And then you broke your leg and it was like, and you phoned me and Amanda, I think, while you were in hospital, like the same day you broke your leg and it was really bad. So thank God that you're walking again now, okay?
Yeah.
And the fact that you were able to just do deals. So what was your first deal? How did you, because you from my recollection, you didn't have a company, you packaged and sold deals, but you weren't compliant, you didn't have money sitting around to invest. So you had to use pretty creative strategies, which was co-deal sourcing.
Yeah.
So what is co-deal sourcing?
So co-deal sourcing is when you find a deal, you view it, you stack up the numbers, and then you pass on that deal to a main deal sourcer. That main deal sourcer then passes that deal on to an investor. If they're interested, the investor will buy it, and then you will get a cut of that fee that they pay for that deal.
And that worked well for you because you didn't necessarily have time to be meeting up with investors. You didn't want to necessarily set up a whole business. You just wanted to focus on the property bit and make some money without having to do loads and loads of extra work.
Yeah, and I couldn't really because I was, I couldn't walk. So I couldn't really go out and meet people and stuff like that. So what I did was I basically heard about Vuber from your crash course, and I think you mentioned it at the DFE, and I thought, well, I can't go out and do viewings, so I'm just going to have to get someone to basically do the viewings for me. So found a really good property, used a really good return on investment calculation sheet and put the numbers in there. The deal stacked, and it was actually below market value single let. So single lets usually aren't really that popular anymore, but if they're below market value, I feel like investors really jump for them. Yeah. So this one was like 20% below market value. It was quite good. So I then sold that deal. I then booked a viewing for that deal, passed it on to the Vuber agent, and then they went to view it. And they came back with a report, videos, everything. And then I basically just put an offer in, got it accepted, and then passed on to the main deal source.
How did it feel when the offer was accepted?
I was over the moon. I was so happy. I mean, it was my first offer to be accepted. And I honestly, I couldn't contain myself. I was like, oh my gosh. I was in bed and I was just like,
with a
broken leg, brace on, crutches by the side, hair a mess. Honestly, it just felt so good. And it just gave me a drive to find more and find more. And then I found 3 others. And they literally all, just happened in the space of a few weeks.
You achieved a lot while you were in that broken state working from home.
Yeah.
Which just shows what's possible even from home.
Yeah.
Give me some tips on how to negotiate offers, because your first offer that you put forward, I know, wasn't accepted. And you said to me, I'm working on it, and we couldn't quite make it stack.
Yeah.
Do you remember that deal?
Yeah, I do.
And then you had a lease option agreement. Yeah. And you were like, the vendor's an idiot. I've offered them a brilliant, they don't need the money now. What is there? And they were like, oh, actually, I've changed my mind. So you had a few no's. Yeah. What tips or lessons would you learn about getting a good deal and negotiating?
So honestly, you mentioned the lease option, and that was my first. I had many no's prior to that, but that was my first no that really just it hit me in the gut kind of thing. I literally drove to Rotherham, and I had this idea in my head of proposing this lease option to this couple, and I just knew it was perfect for them. I felt it was perfect for them. I was driving, I was really hot. I was like, oh my gosh, rehearsing it in my head. Got there, had a nice cup of tea with them, built some rapport, sat down, went through everything. I offered them a lease option. Well, I offered to buy the house below market value and then a lease option thereafter. And they said no, basically. And I remember driving away being like, oh, okay, man. But then 6 weeks later, they rang me, the agent rang me being like, hi, the offer that you put forward, they're actually interested. And I was like, oh my gosh, fantastic. And then it didn't go through. But still, I was like, you know what, that just shows ups and downs. And I feel like through that, I learned that even when you're negotiating, always, always be nice. Just be a good person. Because I feel like if I was an idiot when they said no the first time and I was like, oh, well, guys, you don't know what's good for you, what the hell kind of thing, they'd have been like, all right, bye. Like, we don't need you kind of thing. But I was super understanding. I was just like, you know what, guys, it's completely fine. Like, it's not for everyone. You know, let me know if you need anything in the future. I'll be always, you know, I'll be there to listen. And that's literally what they did. They called me back and they were like, we need, you know, if you still are interested, let's do it. Didn't go ahead because they decided not to sell, but I just feel like the underpinning thing of everything should just be have a good heart and have good intentions, and everything will just be fine.
I think that's so true. And I think the numbers side of it, which you've got really good at, the whole the number side of it is one thing, and then the other side is just being a good person and trying to help people. Interesting that you said the lease option agreement fit really well.
Yeah.
How do you work out, I mean, firstly, what is a lease option agreement in summary, and how do you work out if a lease option agreement is good for someone? So in your case, how did you know that a lease option agreement would be a good offer?
Right, so a lease option agreement is when you offer someone to buy their house later, but in the meantime, rent their property off of them for a set figure, and then that basically like covers their mortgage, and then you can then rent out that property to someone else, and then basically you're getting the rent from someone, paying them the figure to pay off their mortgage, and then in X amount of years you can then buy that property for them for a pre-agreed price. Well, you've got the option to, not the obligation. So if it gets to that time in the future and you feel like you're not really fancying it, you don't have to go ahead, but that's basically what it is. And I knew that, well, I felt like this property was a perfect lease opportunity, just because they'd basically bought it in 2009 when the market was kind of in a rocky place, and they were now trying to sell it for a lot less than what they'd paid for it, and it just meant that they were in negative equity. And I could tell all this from Rightmove and, you know, just doing a little bit of research on the property. So I did my due diligence beforehand, and I knew this, and I knew going in there all the questions to kind of ask them, to get them to tell me, because I wanted them to obviously open up and stuff, and they did. So that's kind of how I knew that the house was a perfect lease option agreement.
And then you made your offer, and you even video recorded yourself, and you sent it to me, and you were brilliant. You offered it beautifully well. You had really good relationship with them. But it just didn't sit right with them.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason why I recorded it, obviously I had their permission to do so. I did it because I wanted to see how I acted in the situation, and I wanted to be able to kind of look back on it and think, oh, actually I should have done this, or I shouldn't have done that. And even literally on like going home, I thought, oh my gosh, I should have said this, I should have, you know, done this. And I was literally having flashbacks of your crash course and you being like, make sure you do this, make sure you do that, exhaust the options. And I just knew that I hadn't done certain bits correctly, but I just had something to look back on, so that the next time I did it, I was much better.
Yeah, that's great. So tell me about the first deal that you negotiated to get below market value, 20% below market value, and give me the best piece of advice you can for somebody right now in these times getting a bargain property.
Oh, I would say, number one, make sure that whatever they're selling it for is actually in line with what you believe is correct. Because what could happen is they could be putting it on the market for much more than it's worth. You knock it down and think you've got a fantastic deal when actually...
That happens a lot though.
Yeah. You can just be like, you know, proper duped. Yeah. So I would say, do your research first.
How do you do that research?
Oh, well, wouldn't you like to know? So I use a website called Mouse Price, and I also use Rightmove to look at sold nearby comparables. And I basically just run some figures, put them in a calculator, and then it just kind of works out for me. I kind of just get a good feeling as to how that property lines up with the market. And once I feel like I've got a really good idea on that, and that I then think about putting in an offer. So that's kind of the bit where I get a bit nervous sometimes, and I probably am much better at it now, but initially I'd be like, oh my gosh, they're going to think I'm really silly.
Because you're putting forward a very low offer, you mean?
Yeah.
Did you have any agents getting upset with you?
I had a few that were like, well, you'll need to view the property first.
Yeah. Yeah, because you do the...
You do the test.
Yeah, okay, tell me about the test.
Yeah. So it's a soft test, right?
Yeah, go on.
So you're on the phone, you're like, oh, I love this property, you know, so good, great location, blah, blah, blah. like how long it's been on the market for, even though you can see all that stuff on Rightmove. You just ask to build a rapport, right?
Okay, yeah.
And then you're like, okay, so you said it's been on the property since February. Have they had many viewings? And they're like, oh, no, Corona. And you're like, yeah, that's fine. Well, do you think they'd be willing to maybe kind of budge on the asking price a little bit? Would they maybe, consider X amount? And then they'll say, well, I'm afraid you'll just have to view the property first. We can't, so it's a really good property. He's just painted the walls. He's just painted the carpet. He feels like that is the best price for it. And you kind of feel them getting a bit, and you think, all right, no worries, that's fine. I'll book a viewing. When can we do it for? And you just move on and you go and view the house. You put forward your offer. And like you say, your first offer should never be what you want. You should be almost embarrassed about it. Because if they accept your first offer, it means you've done something wrong. So I've just used that mentality basically.
Yeah. But then I guess if they say there's absolutely no way they'd accept that offer, then you might think, okay, well, I won't bother viewing.
Yeah.
But if they're like, okay, well, they could be interested, come and have a look round. It's like the pre-offer.
Yeah.
And then the actual offer. Were you nervous when you put forward the offer?
I would say, yeah. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, most of these things are done on email because obviously you're speaking to the agent and, they'll pass it on to the vendor. So most times I'm not speaking to the vendor directly. So it feels a little bit less like nerve-wracking, but even still you kind of think, oh. And then there were times where the agent would come back really quickly and be like, they've said this. And I'm like, oh no, like what do I do? Because obviously I'm not the one selling the deal. So I need to make sure that whatever I say to the agent is actually correct because, I'm not the one selling the deal at the end of the day. So
how do you find someone who will sell the deal for you?
Good question. So I just so happen to know a really good person and they so happen to be my boyfriend. So James Armstrong basically is a really, really fantastic deal sourcer and he started deal sourcing about the same time that we met pretty much. So we've kind of I've seen him progress in that and it's just been really great. So I know that he can sell deals and I feel like whoever you're going to use, make sure that they can sell deals because if you pass it on to a deal sourcer who can't sell deals or whatever, you'll never get any cut of that fee because the fee will never come. So I just feel like, it just so happened that I know James and, it just works out really well, but he doesn't give me any special treatment or anything like that. I have to do all my due diligence. He won't do it for me. I have to go out and view the properties. I have to make sure the deals stack. And then all I do then is pass it to him and say, right, here's the sheet. Here are the figures. Here are the comparables. Please try and pass it on to an investor.
And how would you, let's say James Armstrong said, I don't want to do that anymore. I have, without a shadow of a doubt, no question that you'd be able to find somebody else that would sell the deal. How would you go about finding someone else without dating them?
Damn it! I would. Honestly, I made such good contacts at the DFE. So I feel like those people that I met, I could literally just link up with them and be like, guys, do you know anyone who sells deals or is a deal sourcer? And they'll literally be able just to help me out. And I feel like having connections within the industry is really great. But not even that, I could literally just ask you.
Probably. And I'd be like, James.
Yeah, James, come back. Why did you change your mind?
That's great.
Yeah.
So what would you say the biggest lessons over the last 6 months or however long it's been have been on your property journey? What are the biggest key points?
I'd say number one, don't create excuses for yourself. I think a lot of people create the excuse for themselves to say, I don't have enough time and stuff like that. And obviously we've just been through a period where everyone has had a lot more time than they thought they would ever have. And I think if you didn't do productive things in the past, however many months it's been, 3 maybe, and then obviously time isn't your problem, it's discipline. And I just think when you create excuses for yourself, the only person who's going to suffer is you. So no excuses is number one. Number two is time management, because I think even if you don't have a lot of time, you can still get things done. Like, I'm a uni student, I've got assignments to do, I need to go to uni, I need to pass, I need to do well. I've also got a job. And I just think finding time to do things, whether it's on an evening or during like the weekends or like in between viewings even, is just is just valuable. You need to just make time for things. And I'd say number 3 is just make sure that whatever you do it with good intentions and you do it correctly. Because if you kind of speak to an agent badly, or you have like a bad vibe, or you're very rude to people, I think it can really come back to you. And I've spoken to a lot of the same agents over the past few months, and I'll ring them up and they won't recognise me because until they ask for my details and I'm booking a viewing. But I know them, and I know that if I was blacklisted because I'd like hung up the phone on them or was just rude, which is obviously out of my character anyway, but if I was that person, and then I'd completely blacklist myself from a patch. And I think having a good patch is really valuable, and you need to have good links. So that's kind of 2 in 1. Be nice, have good links, build relationships with people, and yeah.
That's really, really good. And I think it's a really small world, the property world, in terms of deal sourcers, even investors, estate agents. Yeah. And you're right, when you start building a good reputation, packaging and selling good deals only, being nice to people, and time management, such an important one. Yeah. You've juggled your time so well, even on the deal finding extravaganza. If I remember, you said to me, Samuel, I definitely want to do it. I'm all up for it, but it clashes with my exam, my uni exam. And we had a conversation about it, and talk to me about that and what happened.
Oh man, so honestly, that day, I was so scared. So basically, I'd booked off annual leave for the 3 days that the deal extravaganza kind of ran across. And I thought, well, that's fine, but I've got an exam on the Thursday. Now this is going to be tricky because my exam is in Leeds and the deal finding extravaganza is in Birmingham or like wherever it was. And I was like, okay, so I can either go for my exam and then go to the DFE afterwards, but then that means I miss an entire morning, which you've said is the best day. Come on, like
every day's the best day, right?
Well, yeah.
You said to me, is it a good day that day? I'm like, as that every second is the best second.
Yeah, literally. So I was like, oh man. So what I had to do was wake up at the crack of dawn. I think I went to the DFE for a couple of hours in the morning, drove to Leeds, and then did my exam. I was like so nervous, like flustered, didn't even have time to like do much, eat or anything like that. Did my exam, went straight back into my car, back down to Birmingham to finish off the DFE day. And it was honestly like, it was just one of those days where I thought to myself, I could have so easily been like, I'm not going to go to the DFE at all because I'm paying X amount for it and I don't want to miss a day, so I'm just not going to go. But that wouldn't have helped me at all. And actually, even though I did miss a little bit, I still learned so much. And I just feel like that day I was like, at the end of the day, I was like, oh yeah, like I've bossed it. Like I'm gonna be all right. Like you just have to get on with it. And
so many people though would have either not done the exam and been like, F school, I don't need that, which is okay. That would probably what I would have done. But then other people would have said, oh, I'm not going to go to the deal finding extravaganza. I'm not going to learn about property because I got an exam.
Yeah.
Some people would have not done either and would have just cracked under the pressure and stayed in bed.
Yeah.
But you went out and did both.
Yeah.
You broke your leg and you continued to be successful.
Yeah.
You're being a property entrepreneur. You're not waiting to finish uni. You're doing it alongside building your career as a quantity surveyor. So, I think that's really admirable. You're 22 years old. What can the next few years look like?
I feel like I really want to progress in my career as a quantity surveyor and just smash that, keep on smashing that, and just like really kind of grow in the company. I've been there for 3 years now, so I feel like I'll have been there for 8 years in 5 years, quick maths. And honestly, I just really want to do well in that, but equally I want to really get more of a passive income as well through property. And at the minute it is my pastime, but I do want to try and just really be more consistent on that, get more deals in, still be a co-deal sourcer. I'm not really interested in the minute of being a main deal sourcer. But yeah, co-deal source deals, maybe do bigger deals as well. And just find them and just keep it going.
Another thing as well, which I really admire about the way you're doing it, you've not even set up per se like a big company that You're just doing it in your pastime, where most people would be watching box sets. You're on Rightmove and talking to agents, talking to motivated sellers, where most people will be out viewing shops and going around looking at clothes. I know you do that too.
Yeah.
A lot.
Far too often.
Yeah, but you'll be doing that, and you'll be viewing houses.
Yeah.
You know, you're really somebody that it doesn't say which one. You always just say both. To both to life, both to business, both to success. So that's really exciting. What would you say to somebody, being as unbiased as possible, because I know we're family, that was considering doing the Property Investors Crash Course, or, and I'll just get this out there, I don't know if you knew this, the deal finding extravaganza that you went to, we've put that on the Samuel 365.
Oh, is it on there as well?
It's on there as well.
Fantastic. I didn't know that, but I knew that you were running the 365 and that it was like the crash course, but online. Yeah. But that's fantastic.
But I don't know how long it's going to be on there. Right now, as we speak, I think it's on there, but I don't know how much longer. But anyway, someone that's thinking of doing Samuel 365, the crash course, further development training, whether that be with me or whether that be with somebody else, but what would you say to someone that was thinking of investing their time, investing their money to educating themselves on property investment?
Do it. Just do it. Honestly, best investment I've ever made, because I feel like investing in your own education is just something that will never ever be like, you know, better well spent. I think the DFE honestly taught me so much, and Samuel 365 isn't like £1.
It's £1 for 7 days, then £95 per month.
Yeah. So
how much did you invest for the deal finding extravaganza?
Oh,
2.5?
Yeah, about 2.5. Yeah,
£1,000?
2.5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yikes.
That's not much.
So if you compare that though to £1.
Do you resent spending £2,500?
No. I made it back, and then I made it back again.
Yeah.
Literally, so no way. Because I feel like you will make it back tenfold if you put the effort in. Obviously, you're not going to pay for courses and stuff, whether it's yours or anyone else's, and just miraculously be able to find deals in your sleep, like, you know, without doing anything. You need to put in the work. And I feel like once you've paid the money, you feel it at the beginning, and you're like, oh man, I paid that much. You know, that was, for me, the most I've ever spent. I mean, besides, you know, like cars and stuff, but like that's the most I've ever spent up front. And I think just doing that was like, wow, this is a big deal. So honestly, training, so valuable. And I've had a few people, you know, messaging me being like, wow, you're 22, I really, you know, they'll say, oh, I'm 18, I want to get into property. And I'm like, check out this like, you know, training, Samuel 365. And I'll tell them my story about going to the crash courses and how they were free and how I loved it and how they can now get the same knowledge and then some for £1 for 7 days, and then, you know, a certain amount afterwards. Like, it's fantastic. Yeah, so good. I can't believe you're doing it, to be fair.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You're amazing. How will people connect with you if they want to connect with you?
Instagram.
You're amazing on Instagram. You don't post very often, but when you do, it's always an amazing picture.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so basically I've got an Instagram platform, and then I like basically have an Instagram channel as well on that same.
What's your Instagram handle?
melly&co_.
Melly, that's MELLY.
Yeah, and the word co, C-O, _.
melly&co_.
Yeah.
So follow melly&co_ on Instagram. You also have a website.
Yeah, I do.
How much do you pay to get that website up and running, or did you do it yourself for free?
I did it myself for free.
Boom, there we go. You know what? Everything you've done, your code, the way you've started the business, apart from the education side, because you know that's the most important, all the other stuff, most people would spend $2,500 on business cards, website, this, that, the other. You didn't have to do that because you did it for free because you invested first in yourself. What's the name of your website?
melly&co.com.
melly&co.com.
So simple.
Awesome.
And also on my Instagram channel, I basically post like videos on little how-tos. So
I've seen those.
Yeah.
They're
so
amazing.
Yeah, so they're like property how-tos, or I just talk about my experience and stuff. So if you want to like see anything about that, and
you've also like done really cool little giveaways on your website, like ROI spreadsheets and different things.
Yeah, I've got some really good golden nuggets on there.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, if you want to work out your return on investment really quickly, just go on my website, download the sheet. You know, you'll be grand.
So go down to melly&co.com.
Yes.
And follow melly&co_ on Instagram.
Yeah.
Folks, hope you enjoyed the interview. I think you'll agree she's amazing. Check her out. If you want to be part of the Samuel 365, go to samuel365.com. Get all the same training that Melissa had. Also, I hope to see you at the Property Investors Crash Course real soon. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, smash the like button, drop a comment below, and I'll see you next time.